Brilliance isn't just skill, it's skill when it matters most. A try in the first 5 minutes can be great. A try in the final 5 seconds? That's brilliance. It's about impact, timing, and the way fans still talk about it years later. Jonah Lomu, 1995, power unleashed, 20 years old. A winger built like a lock, but fast as a sprinter. Against England in the World Cup semi-final, Jonah Lomu scored 4 tries. The most famous? Bulldozing over Mike Catt, like he wasn't even there. That wasn't just a highlight, it was rugby evolving before our eyes. Before him, wingers were expected to be quick and nimble. After him, teams started hunting for giants who could also sprint. His brilliance wasn't just in the tries he scored, it was in how he changed what rugby thought was possible. Brian O'Driscoll, 1999, hat-trick in Paris, 1999. Ireland were underdogs against France. Then a 20-year-old Brian O'Driscoll carved through the defense again and again, scoring 3 tries. The crowd gasped, commentators shouted, and Ireland walked away with one of their most famous wins. It wasn't just the points. It was a kid stepping onto the biggest stage and announcing Ireland has a superstar. Every sidestep was a signal of a new era for Irish rugby. Jonny Wilkinson, 2003, ice in his veins, World Cup final. England versus Australia, tied in extra time. With his weaker foot, Wilkinson sent a drop goal soaring through the posts. The stadium erupted. England had their first and still only West States World Cup. Plenty of players can slot a drop goal in training. Doing it in extra time of a World Cup final. That's what makes it brilliant, calm, composed, and utterly unforgettable. Cheslin Kolbe, 2019, the sidestep heard around the world. Fast forward to 2019, South Africa leading England in the final, but the game's still alive. Kolbe got the ball near halfway, faced Owen Farrell, and with a blur of sidesteps, left him grasping at thin air. Seconds later, he was celebrating in the corner. It wasn't just a try, it was South Africa proving they could dominate with flair as well as power. That sidestep captured the new Springbok identity. Fearless, fast, and impossible to pin down. The thread that ties them together. From Lomu's raw force to Wilkinson's cool drop and Kolbe's lightning feet, every brilliant moment carries more than skill. It changes games, inspires nations, and makes rugby unforgettable. These are just the sparks at the start of a much longer fireworks. Sometimes brilliance isn't one player. It's 15 moving as one. The passes click, the timing is perfect, and the ball seems to float to the try line. These are the moments where rugby feels like art. The Barbarians try, 1973, Cardiff Arms Park, Barbarians versus All Blacks. The ball was flung around like it was alive. Gareth Edwards finished the move with a dive in the corner. Commentators still call it the greatest try ever scored. That try showed how rugby, even at its most chaotic, can create beauty. It still resonates because it was pure freedom. No heavy tactics, no risk-averse kicking, just instinct, trust, and players daring to create something unforgettable. All Blacks versus France, 2015 quarterfinal. The All Blacks dismantled France with a try that looked choreographed but was improvised brilliance. Offloads, support lines, speed, every pass stuck, and France couldn't touch them. It summed up New Zealand rugby. Ruthless, joyful, and clinical all at once. What made it special was how easy they made it look. A dozen hands involved, the ball gliding the length of the field, and a finish that felt inevitable. That's brilliance, when complexity looks simple. Japan's Miracle of Brighton, 2015 underdogs, outgunned. Facing South Africa in a Rugby World Cup pool match, Japan refused to kick for a draw, choosing a scrum and then running the ball wide. The crowd held its breath, and when Kana Hesketh dived over, rugby history changed. It wasn't just the try, it was the decision. To gamble everything instead of settling. That one act of courage turned a Tier 2 team into global heroes overnight. The brilliance wasn't only in execution, it was in the belief. Ireland's Grand Slam team move. 2018 against England at Twickenham, Ireland built a try from relentless phases. Pass after pass, quick rucks, and a pinpoint finish in the corner. It wasn't flashy, but it was flawless. A moment where every player played their role to perfection. The essence of team brilliance. Team brilliance lives in connection. Every player trusting the next. Every move amplifying the one before it. From the freewheeling Barbarians to Japan's daring gamble, these moments remind us that rugby is at its best when played together. It's easy to shine in the first half, but when the clock's red, scores tied, and millions are watching, that's when brilliance really counts. France versus New Zealand, 2007. Fearless chaos Cardiff, quarter-final. The All Blacks, the unstoppable giants. France, written off before kickoff, but then came defiance. France didn't just play, they attacked, offloaded, countered, and refused to bow. Against all odds, they toppled the All Blacks 20-18. It wasn't tidy rugby, it was bravery, chaos, and belief turning into brilliance. France's win wasn't just an upset, it was proof that brilliance is sometimes the courage to ignore the script and take the game into your own hands. Dan Carter, 2015, redemption story. For years, Dan Carter carried New Zealand, but missed World Cup glory through cruel injuries. By 2015, people wondered if he'd ever get his moment. In the final against Australia, Carter answered: pinpoint kicks, game management, a stunning drop goal that silenced Wallaby momentum. It wasn't just brilliance with the boot, it was brilliance in resilience, a career-defining redemption arc played out on the biggest stage. Kolisi, 2019, brilliance beyond the game. Not all brilliance is on the field. Sometimes, it's in what the moment represents. When Kolisi lifted the Webb Ellis Cup in 2019, he wasn't just a captain, he was South Africa's first black leader, holding rugby's greatest prize. That image traveled the world. Brilliance, not in a try or a kick, but in unity, history, and hope. Wilkinson's calm, France's rebellion, Carter's redemption, Kolisi's symbol. 4 different moments, one truth. Brilliance isn't born when it's easy. It's forged when the world is watching and the pressure is unbearable. Brilliance isn't locked in dusty highlight reels. It's happening right now, on Olympic podiums, in giant stadiums, and in the rise of nations once called outsiders. Fiji, 2016, Olympic gold, Rio de Janeiro. Rugby Sevens makes its Olympic debut. Fiji, tiny island nation with a giant heart, storms through the tournament with pace, flair, and unstoppable offload. When the final whistle blew, they crushed Great Britain 43-7. For Fiji, it wasn't just brilliance, it was history. Their country's first ever Olympic medal, and it was gold. Brilliance doesn't need population size or deep pockets. It only needs belief, talent, and identity. For weeks, clips of Fijian magic circled the globe, inspiring kids everywhere to pick up a ball. Ireland's Hoodoo Breakers, 2016 and 2018. 4 decades, Ireland lived in New Zealand's shadow. They fought hard but never won. Then came Chicago, 2016. Ireland toppled the All Blacks for the first time in 111 years. 2 years later, they did it again in Dublin in front of their own fans. That wasn't luck. It was brilliance forged through persistence, discipline, and refusing to accept that history was unchangeable. Brilliance isn't always flashy. Sometimes it's patient, hard-earned, and built over years of heartbreak. For Irish rugby, those wins weren't just victories. They were a rewriting of destiny. Cheslin Kolbe, 2019, Lightning in a final. The Springboks already had one hand on the trophy in Yokohama, but Kolbe decided to make it unforgettable. Ball in hand, space closing, Owen Farrell charging, one sidestep, then another, and Kolbe was gone. He flew into the corner and the stadium erupted. South Africa had sealed the deal in style. It wasn't just a try, it was flair on the sport's grandest stage, showing the world that South Africa could dominate with speed as well as power. France, 2022, 6 Nations, total rugby. France hadn't won a Grand Slam in over a decade. In 2022, they swept the Six Nations with a style that combined brutal forward dominance and dazzling backline play. Their final win over England in Paris felt like a rebirth. Every try seemed orchestrated by flair and force working together. It was artistry with purpose. It reminded everyone that when French rugby clicks, it can be as breathtaking as anything in the sport. South Africa's Strategy Masterclass, 2023 World Cup Final, Paris. South Africa faced New Zealand, reduced to 14 men after a red card. But the Springboks didn't panic. They tightened their game, suffocated possession, and defended like their lives depended on it. It wasn't fireworks, it was tactical brilliance, winning a World Cup through control, grit, and intelligence. That match proved brilliance can come from strangling an opponent, not dazzling them. South Africa reminded the world that beauty in rugby sometimes lives in the grind. Fans today don't just want results, they want moments that live forever. Fiji's joy, Ireland's redemption, Kolbe's sidestep, France's flair, South Africa's tactical genius, each shows a different side of brilliance. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.